People podcast. I'm Guinevere Curry, your host and founder and CEO of Guide to HR. And as you might know, I am a startup junkie. I love startups. I love working in startups. I love building. And I am super excited to have Claudia Scott on the call with me today from Startup Junkies. Claudia, welcome. And I'm just geeking out on your title, first of all, of Startup Junkies. I found my home. And tell us a little bit about yourself and the business.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I love even just our name. I think it definitely draws a lot of attention. A lot of people are like, what's a startup junkie? How do I become one? So we just, and we've kind of talked about this. We're a nonprofit that serves that old startup junkies in, the Northwest Arkansas area, the state of Arkansas, and even outside of state lines. So we're just here to democratize access to resources and capital amongst all and every founder and startup junkie in our area.
That's awesome. So, what are you seeing in recent months of trends of what these founders are looking for, what they need help and support with? What have been some of the hot topics that your community has been having conversations about?
Yeah. So I personally direct our Keep Up Northwest Arkansas program, which is a micro lending platform. And then I'm the head of inclusive entrepreneurship here at Startup Junkie. So I do get to work one-on-one with a lot of diverse business owners. And I would say, and this is something that actually I've gotten mentioned already 3 times today in the last probably 3 months. And I don't know if it's, the time of the year, summer, but I keep hearing a lot of our clients, our borrowers, and just our founders say, this feels so isolated. I feel so isolated. Like, what is the best way for me to get either plugged in? Who do I need to talk to? How do I gain a community? So I would say right now, this is what we're seeing the most, especially as our region keeps growing, not only in people and size, but we're growing a lot in business, types, and just, we get hundreds and hundreds of business licenses just in the greater Northwest Arkansas area. And I think one of the things with expansion is a lot of people that haven't been in the space are now in the space, and they realize how isolating it can be. That's what I would say I'm seeing the most. And we try to tell people, don't try to do 40 jobs yourself. That is, I would say, probably a massive misconception of being a founder and having a startup is you are now in this, and so you have to do 30 or 40 or 50 different positions yourself. And if you don't do it, then you're a failure. So kind of teaching people there are resources available that will guarantee that you can focus on the stuff that you are good at. None of us are great at every single thing we try. So definitely finding ways to tap into, mentors and consulting and marketing help and workshops. So that's kind of what we've been doing the last couple of months.
Love that. And that so ties into this podcast, is Scaling People, because that's my goal, is to help these founders have a place to go to hear from others, hear from vendors and experts, and get new ideas and know that they're not alone. So I love now that they're hopefully hearing about you and being able to know that they can get involved with the Startup Junkies. And you guys do some events as well. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, we do hundreds of events a year. Until I came to Startup Junkie, I didn't realize a small team could do this many events, but somehow we manage. And I would personally say all of them are phenomenal. So we do simple, basic lunch and learn. So today we actually had one on how to better improve your personal branding, or how to even create your personal brand. And that's just, we bring a subject matter expert from our community. We open it to the public. There's no fee, no registration. We go ahead and we provide the lunch for, because a lot of people, sorry, we want to make sure, and take 2. We want to make sure that everyone is, we're meeting them where they are, and we're lowering barriers. So doing it during lunch, just a 1 hour, a 1 hour programming where they can come in their lunch break, get food, and still learn. We do a 1 million cups every week, which this is not it's not our programming, but we do put the one in Northwest Arkansas. So founders and startup junkies get to go and pitch and present to a community and group of people that are just interested in helping you and helping you build your company. So after you pitch, you get to hear from questions in the community or loopholes or things that you may have not thought about when you were starting your business plan. So it's always great to get that feedback. And one of my favorite events, which is actually coming up this October, is our startup crawl. So that is, we call it the biggest startup party in the heartland. So we get about 3,000 people. We rent, so we're located in the Fayetteville Square. So we shut down all of downtown, and we have one building where all the startups can present. We have two buildings actually, full of startups showcasing their products, their talents, their services. We have a main stage where we bring musicians and artists, and then we do a beer crawl. So we have about 12 different type of breweries in multiple stops. So it's really, really cool to see not only downtown activate, but we see, businesses from all over the place outside of Arkansas, in Arkansas. We get to see just that community really come together. So that's one of my favorite events we have.
That is so great. I love that. And so I know there are other incubators around probably the world. I'm more familiar with those inside the US, but maybe for a founder that might be really new, what is this? Why should they care about it? How do they find out and get involved?
Yeah.
Give me all the details.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, why? There's lots of reasons why, but the first one I would go back to the fact that this is a very, very hard career choice. It's, has lots of ups and downs. It can be very overwhelming. It can be especially detrimentally overwhelming when you don't have support or community, whatever that looks like. So I would say one of the reasons why I think people should involve in, we are an ESO in our area and we do serve, anyone who comes to us. But I'm sure there's local ESOs everywhere you look. And I would say building that community is probably the most pivotal part. And then so many connections are born from that. We've seen people like, oh, I went to the gym and talked to this guy and we had seen each other at an event and turned out I got this really big contract with them. So particularly in Northwest Arkansas, I would say we have still that small town feel, even though we're growing. So being able to, sometimes I tell people it's really not about you going in and making a sale or pitch on the first networking group that you visit. Is go to 5, 6, 7, make sure they recognize your face. Like start small. Like don't, just be there and be consistent and people will start recognizing your face. They'll start recognizing your name, your product, and then build from there. I would say that's a big one. Just, we can't pretend to do entrepreneurship alone and we can't pretend to do all the jobs alone. You shouldn't. So definitely tap into us. There's a lot of stuff. We have a subject matter expert list. So we are a small team. So sometimes I might not be able to give you entrepreneurial advice if you're an artist or a musician, but we want to make sure that we have enough talent and enough people to be able to, direct you to the right place. And that's something I always say. You can come to Startup Junkie and you can tell us, what's up, what you need, what's going on. And I would like to say that, most of the time we can get you fixed up. But if we don't, we're also big on recognizing this is just not our wheelhouse, but let's make sure that we find you the right person. So I think that's the power of networking and connecting that I appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find too, go back to your statement earlier, the founders, sometimes they find that they're doing jobs of 40 different roles and, the mental toll, the physical toll, the emotional toll too on that. So many times it's so hard to like peel that back and be like, okay, what can you let go and who can you give it to? That actually might be a more experience and knowledge in doing that thing. So I talk to so many founders who are product and engineer developers. And so marketing, not their thing,
Not their
right? And so
forte,
it's
yeah.
like, it's almost like one of those things where you're detrimental to yourself because you're trying to accomplish it all. And then
Yeah.
you're detrimental to your business because you are trying to do something that is not, so it'll take you 10 times longer because you have to learn it first in order to do it. And of course, when you're learning, you make mistakes and you learn from those and you grow.
And we shouldn't expect to be good at everything. And I think that's like the big I don't know, Achilles heel, as founders, the moment you start something, there is this like thin line between sometimes you're unsure, but at the same time, you're the most confident person in the world. Because you have to be, because you have to have a product or a service or a company that you really believe in. So at the same time, it's like, I need to believe in this no matter what, while keeping myself accountable that I'm not great at everything. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a really fine line.
It's October. I just envisioned the mayor from Nightmare Before Christmas where he turns his head, right? Like, yeah,
Yep.
let's not be that kind of founder, right?
And then I think once you start looking, then you realize how much really is out there. For
Yes.
us, like we are a nonprofit, so a big thing is nothing comes at the cost of the entrepreneur. We have the Walton Family Foundation is a supporter of at least Kiva and the accelerator. We have, state contracts, nation, we have help, but like you don't need to pay us. So we're here to just serve you. And I think a lot of people get kind of hung up into it and they're like, well, what's the catch? Or what are you trying to, there is no catch. And clearly I'm talking right now as, we're an organization that's mainly based in Arkansas, but I know there are so many all over the US that follow a similar model. So I think the first hurdle is recognizing, although I really believe in my product and in myself, I am not a superhuman. And then after that, what can I do to make sure that it's almost actually selfless. Like the moment you're actually letting go of the marketing, like you said, or the numbers, and you're giving it to someone else, you're doing your business a favor. You're keeping it afloat. You're making the responsible choice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, I learned the hard way too when I finally pulled the trigger a while ago on getting a virtual assistant. And I was like, in my back of my mind, I'm like, I know I need to pull this. And I know as soon as I do, I'm going to say,
But
why
I
did I
can
do
do
it
it. So maybe
sooner?
I'll just
Oh,
keep
no,
doing it.
no. That was not my problem. My problem was, I don't know what to give them in a way
Yeah.
where I can train them that they're going to do it the same level and quality that I would do it.
Yeah.
That was where I
Yeah.
was stuck. Yes. Yes.
And sometimes that is that's something I also struggle to is sometimes you feel like if you want things done the way, at your level and at your quality, then I'll just do it myself. But it's that letting go, just that little piece that, you might not see it immediately, but 2, 3 years down the road, you're like, oh my God, I am so glad I brought someone in to do this. Or I'm so glad in the moment I was able to give this away.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
but it's definitely hard to let go. It's your baby. You don't want anyone else touching it.
Yeah, even if it's on stuff that like I know I'm not a subject matter expert in,
Yeah.
sometimes it's fun, right? Like sometimes
Yeah.
you're so in your niche that it's like kind of fun to like take the brain and put the head up and be like, what else should I be
Yeah.
working on? Oh, this is fun. This is different.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of entrepreneurs, they are definitely people who like to learn, and so I think that's where a lot of them get caught in. It's like, oh, this is something
Self-starters. Yeah.
new that I can learn, and I love learning and I want to learn about it. And
Yeah.
so sometimes it's like, yes, you should learn about it in a way where you can help guide someone to do what you need, but
Mhm.
not learn about it where you're executing on the day-to-day tactical stuff.
Yeah. Well, and we also don't clearly because we know it can be such a demanding, area and career. We don't even talk about the toll it actually takes on you as a person because you're so focused on the business, on making sure this succeeds and then grows and expands and then, multiplies. But then the moment you're not taking care of you as a founder, uh, just everything starts, it's like domino effect. And I think being able to say, okay, in order for me as a person, as a leader, as a founder, to have much more peace or better mental health or be able to actually focus on the stuff that I should focus about, I need to tap into these resources. So we work with an HR firm, and they like to say that it is not work-life balance, it's life-work balance. So how do we make sure that our life always still comes, has priority, and we're living a good, fulfilling life while we make sure that our business stays, successful?
Yeah, absolutely. Because you do need the businesses to be successful to pay for that life. That's
Yeah.
where I think a lot of founders get kind of trapped, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, great. This is so fun. So tell me, what are some of the things that you're seeing, around the corner? What are some of the things that founders are starting to maybe get concerned about in the economy, or starting to think about in regards to 2025 and AI and all the things that, are we're constantly dealing with change in our society. What are founders talking about today?
Yeah, I would say that there's definitely, especially with that AI ML stuff coming up, that's definitely a big part of the conversation. But I always find it interesting how it's still that same issues that we've always had. So one of the big ones is marketing and social media. And it's 2024, and I feel like by now everyone dominates marketing and social media. But I can tell you, I do a decent job of keeping up with my personal one. I am terrible at doing our Kiva and Startup Junkie social media. And I've been able to now recognize and be like, we need someone to do this. But it seems social media marketing, it's almost, since it's such a personal thing, like everyone has an Instagram, everyone has a Facebook. So then we believe that since we do it for ourselves, then we can do it for our business. I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, how hard can it be? You post once a week and then that's it. So I think it's something that gets kind of shuffled at the end of the priorities
Mhm.
because it's social media. Everyone does it. I can do it. And then we don't actually, like I said, utilize the resource, utilize the tools, the workshops, the people that might be able to help you. And then it's 3, 4 years later, and they're like, oh, I really should have worked on my brand and my marketing and my consistency. So even with all of these new, we have an accelerator program that's all AI and machine learning companies and a lot of fintech and, tech-enabled companies. But then somehow I do think still our issues is the same issues we've had for a long time, like marketing and social media.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of conversations I have with founders and small businesses is that, but also the revenue growth. Like, how do you grow? How do you find clients?
Yeah.
How or customers, depending on what you call them? Like that kind of like figuring it out. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
times too, what I love about some of the events that you talked about earlier was to be able to share what you're working on, your product, your services, your tool, whatever it is that you're looking to go out and make money off of, to be able to share that and get feedback from the community, get feedback
Yeah.
from potential target customers, and learn from them. Because I think it's a lot of times you can get stuck in your head and you're just grinding, and then you
Yeah.
look up and you go like, oh, I just created the solution that no one cares about, and I just
Yeah.
spent all this time like making sure you're staying connected to those potential customers so that you're actually solving the problems that they actually have, not the problems you think they have.
Yeah. And that's a big thing. So we do a lot of pitch competitions. So we do pitch competitions, we do 1 million cups. And I always tell people it really, yes, it'd be great if you win and the judges, think you're the best startup. But it's honestly almost even better for you to do it 2 or 3 times and then fail every single time. But because then you're getting the feedback. Okay, what of my 60 seconds, what can I improve? What can I do better? 1 million cups, which is its own thing, but I just absolutely love it because it's such a safe space. You go and you present in front of 30, 40 people that might be, execs or at Sam's or at Walmart, but they still are there and they're there to hear you and then give you your advice. That along, I feel like it's an incredibly costly service that you're getting for free. And then
Mm-hmm.
you're getting to do it in an area where people know you and love you and support you. So it's almost like being able to do it at a safe space. Same thing with our pitch competitions. I've seen people, go up there, they pitch 60 seconds, they don't win, but then they come back again and then they come back again and they're like, honestly, just the experience and then the exposure to be able to talk in front of 50, 60, 70 people about my business. I might not win the $2,000, but I got 60 eyes on this solution, on this product, on the service. And then we have someone and he actually just won the regionals to go to Startup World Cup in San Francisco. And he is just consistently in every one of our pitch competitions. And I don't think at first, and it might have been even before me, I don't think at first he just immediately won, but he's perfected it. And then he asks advice and then he sends a pitch and then sends the video and tells me, give me the feedback, tell me what to change. And one of the things, and we sometimes talk about it on the podcast, is it's almost like you have to grab your baby, your product, your service, and you got to poke holes at it as much as you can. And it sounds counterproductive, but if after all of that, it's still standing and it's still a solution that you're like, yes, this will change someone's life, or this will make it easier, or it's needed, then move forward. But being able to poke those holes can be really hard because, like we said, it's your baby. So then use the resources that you have in the community.
Yeah, that is so great. Well, as we wrap up here today, any last final thoughts or words you'd like to share with the audience before we head out?
Yeah, I'm definitely urged them. We are in Northwest Arkansas, so if you are located in Northwest Arkansas, give us a call or email. If you're not and you still want to just get some resources, get some help, or maybe try to see if we can connect you to a right person wherever you are, again, feel free to message us. We've done some consulting and some microloans for people out of state as well. So there's definitely, you never know. I would definitely say shoot your shot, contact the people, ask the questions, take the time, take the space. If they're for you to grab. So definitely make as much use of the resources as possible.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Claudia, for joining us and sharing about Startup Junkie, the nonprofit. And now I'm definitely going to be researching what other nonprofits are out there throughout the U.S. And I hope that our listeners are going to do the same thing. So thanks, everyone, for joining, and we'll see you on the next podcast. Awesome.
Perfect.